So, does society need religion? I mean, do we need a God to believe in? Well, the interesting thing is that humans will always worship something. There is no such thing as a human on planet Earth that doesn't worship anything. Now, that could be a god, a deity. It could be money, power, fame. And even if you're a Buddhist monk, you will worship this ideal of enlightenment. This ideal idea of, if I can achieve tranquility with the world. You will always worship something. And so we must ask as a society, what should our people worship? Should we worship God or should we worship money? I mean, most people wouldn't say that money is a good thing to worship, nor fame, nor power. And if everyone's a Buddhist monk and meditating in a cave for a week straight, then who's gonna keep up the infrastructure? Who's gonna make sure that we get water out of the pipes and electricity? I mean, not everyone can meditate for 10 hours a day. So what should our people do? I mean, truly, what is the best option out of all the possible options that you can worship? I mean, if you truly think about it, it probably is God. I mean, if you worship almost anything else, you fall down into the rabbit hole of moral relativism. I mean, it's all relative. That happens to most societies which are secular. They start having these moral relative ideas. It's relative. We can't judge the people there. We can't have an ideal of what is a good person. We just let's get together and hopefully we agree. But that doesn't create a good society. It simply does not. I mean, the whole reason we can have laws and a justice system is because people believe that there is something actually objectively wrong in doing murder. If the people didn't believe in an objective morality and in murder being objectively bad, then why would we make laws about don't murder? I mean, isn't it just relative? Think about that. So maybe we cannot go down this route of moral relativism where we just say, it's all relative and you can do whatever you wish, because you shouldn't. I'm gonna argue it that people are always going to be better when they believe that God is watching than if they don't believe that God is watching and judging all their actions. And you know what? I attest to it myself. I'm an example. If I didn't believe that God was watching, there was probably some situations where I probably would have took advantage of that. And now you're gonna say, do you need a book to be a good person? The problem is not that I need a book to be a good person, but there is no such thing as a good person without that moral law that comes from God. I mean, define with your objective moral sense what even is good. Without God, you cannot give an objective definition of good. You simply cannot. You will fall down the moral relativist route where your opinion is just a preference and then my opinion is just a preference, and we cannot even talk which is the correct one. We cannot even discuss it because, it's all relative and preferences. And do we really want that for our society? And then some people say that, if we just become secular, just get rid of religion and we will become this science utopia, right? Everyone will be like Galileo and Newton, who were religious, by the way. But I get your point. You want everyone to worship science instead of God. And that's a good thing, science is very important and I'm a big supporter of doing scientific research and so on. But here's the thing. Being secular does not mean you will support science. There's actually quite a bit of correlation between the more secular a society is, the more likely they are to believe in there being 2 billion genders. Oh yes, today I'm an F-35 fighter jet, but maybe tomorrow I'll go back to being a Leopard 2A6. That's what secularism leads to. Because then once again it's this moral relative sense where, oh, everyone has their own truth. Their own truth? What is that? Oh, you can just believe what you want, except if that includes a deity, of course. But you can believe what you want and be what you want, and science doesn't define us. So where's your science utopia? Where's the science utopia when people are saying that when you talk about the laws of thermodynamics and say that, hey, weight gain and fat loss is all comes down to energy in, energy out. Law of thermodynamics, you can't escape it. And then people say that, no, that's not true, it's genetics, fat phobia. Where is your science utopia? It doesn't exist in these secular societies. It simply does not. I mean, would Nikola Tesla be proud of the new society that we've created, or Einstein? Would they look at this and be, oh yes, this is the science utopia, these secular countries? Oh, whoa, dude, yes. Like, no, I think they would be quite the opposite. They'd be like, what happened? What is this society that we have to live in? What do you mean we need to get rid of these religious people and we need to get rid of God, which is holding us to a moral standard, which is holding us together and which is actually doing a lot of scientific research? I mean, if you go and ask top scientists, hey, is religion against science? Most of them would say no, because they work with religious people. Most of these scientists, these top scientists, they work alongside other top scientists who are religious. And they see every day that you can look at science and do scientific research and be religious. And many people choose science specifically because of their religion. They want to find God. They want to get closer to God. And they can get closer to God if they study the world that God created. I mean, that is a core belief that the Christian church had, and why the Christian Catholic Church basically invented modern science. We can get closer to God with scientific research. They're in no way against each other. And so we must ask, do we want this society where people are religious and we have some ideal to strive for? We worship God instead of money. We worship God instead of just saying, well, your truth, and then let people do whatever they want, no matter how horrifically bad it is. And you know what? I prefer that society every single day of my life than a super secular society. And if you look at but the secular societies are more prosperous. I mean, the more secular societies became more secular because they were prosperous before they were secular. That's the point. Also, the more prosperous countries are getting less prosperous because of secularity. I mean, you can't just, look, but your country is prosperous. Yeah, because of religious people. And it's being slowed down by non-religious people believing in their truth about 10 billion genders. Man, I cannot. But yes, society seems to need some core foundation, something to believe in. I mean, people don't have a meaning in their life when there is no God. They don't have meaning. They just simply do what feels good. They fall into hedonism and nihilism, and we're seeing it in real time. I mean, it's not a surprise to anyone that the more secular a society is, the more mental health issues there are, the more loneliness, the more depression, so on. These are all public statistics that you can look up. It is baffling to me that people take a look at what society being more secular has done in a lot of ways, and then they say, yeah, that was a good thing. Like, I do not see it. And they always do this weird correlation thing with, well, prosperity and secularism. But there is no causation. The only causation there is that prosperity causes secularism, not the other way around. And so I truly believe that if your society has God and worships God, and you have a foundational religion like Christianity, and you don't tell your people that, hey, this is all a big cosmic accident and everyone has their own truth, now go on, live your life. I don't think that creates a good society, and I think we're seeing it in real time. We have increasing loneliness, increasing mental health disorders. We have increasing amount of people believing in ridiculous stuff like 2 billion genders and that the law of thermodynamics is fatphobic. I mean, this is just ridiculous. But this is secularism in real time. So we must ask, does society need religion? Well, name me a place in the history of humanity that didn't have a religion and the society survived for more than 20 years. Go ahead. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. But have a great day and thanks for watching.